Welcome back. Now that we have a nice profile icon and a nice drop-down menu, I want to make sure that these things work. So let's work out the sign out functionality in this video and also remove this over here because we don't really need this anymore. Let's get back to our text editor. The first thing we want is we want the on route change function, which we already use in our app, in our sign out over here. And let's change that to sign out. Perfect. And in here, if we go back to our navigation, we see that all these routes have the on route change prop that we receive from the app. And that simply changes routing for us. Let's grab the on route change, assume that we get that as props. We'll work on that in a bit. And say that this dot props, or we have to actually have an onClick function. And this onClick function is going to have the this.props.onRouteChange called with the sign out call because we want to sign out. And we also need to actually pass this prop now. So let's go back to our navigation. And in here, we can actually change this up. We can completely remove the text that said sign out because we don't need it anymore. But we do want the on route change function to work here. So let's just pass down the on route change down to profile icon because we already have access to that in navigation, and just completely erase this p tag. Let me save, go back. Oh boy. And we have a bit of an issue here. And that is because if we go to our profile icon, well, I can't just call this inside of the function. I have to, or inside of the onClick, I have to actually assign it the function so that when onClick happens, the function runs, not just immediately running it. All right, let's save that. Go back. Click on this. All right, perfect. If I click sign out, look at that. I'm signed out. That's awesome. Now there's a few things that I'm noticing here. One is that, my drop-down menu is a little bit off here. We need to adjust some CSS. And also, when I sign out, I don't want to go to the register page. I want to go to the sign-in page. Let's fix that. First, what we want to do is if we go to app.js, let's see if I can find it. Or if we go to app.js and on route change, if we scroll down, we see that it's a very simple router. When we sign out, we set state to initial state, in which case that is our sign out, or in our case, it's the home, which we're changing just for the development purposes. And there's many ways to fix this. First of all, this routing logic could be improved. We see that we actually have the onRoute sign out, which sets state to initial state. And then because it keeps going, it also runs the route to set to whatever route we pass it to. Now, in our case, because we pass it the sign out route, and if we scroll down here, we have the route sign in. And that's what we're checking for. And in that case, we get sign in, otherwise we get register. Well, the logic here is a little bit off. But a quick fix that we might want to do here, we can add extra logic here. So maybe if it's if the route is sign out, we can just go to the sign in page as well. Or we can simply just call return here so that we don't even update the route. We just, as soon as we sign out, get to the initial state, which in our case will be the sign-in page, and this is never going to be called. Let's save and just test this out. I'm going to change the route to what we had before, which was sign in, and I'll change is signed in to false as well. Going back, I will do my a at a.com, and notice that my styling here has changed again because of bootstraps. Again, something that we'll have to fix. I'm signed in. If I click here and sign out, perfect. I'm on the sign in page. All right, you notice here that we have another issue with the form. This is a bit of a tricky one because why is this happening? We've put our styles after Bootstrap. Our tachyons and our index.css is after Bootstrap. But this is a funny thing that's actually happening. And another reason where you want to be careful anything that you import to your project. If I scroll down here, I see that, where is it? Background transparent. Over here, if I scroll down and untoggle it, we see that, oh, look at that. That's now what we want out of our thing. But somebody is calling background transparent with the important class. And if I click here, it looks like this text CSS. Oh, yeah, that's Bootstrap right there. So Bootstrap automatically assigns the important, oh, not place. Let's go back to the inspect element. Bootstrap automatically assigns the important flag, which again overrides all CSS. Where are we? Let's go back to, scroll up, there it is. You see over here, it's not being read, what we have with tachyons, and instead it's being overwritten by the same class in the Bootstrap class. Again, another reason why you want to stick usually with one CSS library, because you never know what they're doing. So let's fix that really, really quickly because I like the black background that we had. And a simple fix that we can do is perhaps for sign in, we can create a new file. We'll call it signin.css. And we can just simply override everything. So let's just call this hover black on hover. And we'll say that this is whenever it's hovering, I want the background color to be black. Now, Bootstrap is still going to override that because it has the important flag. So we can add our own flag here saying important. Now, I'm warning you here, this is just for demonstration purposes, just in case you encounter something like this, which often happens when you mix and match. I personally never like using this. If you're using this, then there's something wrong. Maybe there's better ways of doing it. In our case, maybe instead of using Bootstrap, we can do something else so it doesn't override all our styles, or maybe don't use tachyons and Bootstrap together. But for now, we have this hover black that we can apply to each one of our classes. In our case, we can go to the register or the sign in, and in the sign in, we can just have a class that we add to all our inputs. We have a lot of CSS styles already. Oops, we should copy our CSS style. Let's go with hover black. Add it here. What other inputs do we have? We have this one over here. Let's save, go back. Oh, what did I miss here? Let's go back. Oh, and that's because we actually need to import our CSS file that we just created. So again, we'll just do signin.css. So let's test that out. Go back. Look at that. We have our background all set. We can do probably the same thing for register. We see that that's still being affected, but that's something that you can do on your own time. We have overridden our styles. All right, so now that we got this all figured out, let's go back to, let's clean this up a bit. I'm going to app.js. I'm going to close some of these tabs. And go to our home, and it's signed in to true, just so we can play around with this. If I go back, there we go. I think the one last fix we want to do is this positioning of the box. Let's fix that. And that's actually a nice little fix that we can do. Again, if we go to profile, Luckily for us, with the drop-down menu, there's a attribute that we can use. Again, if we go back to our React strap, we have the, let's see, the position that is up, down, left, right. And you can see over here that you can align things based on how you want them to be. In our case, we want to use the right attribute. So I can just go back here, and just to stay consistent for classes, let's keep double quotes just like we have over here, even though you can use both. And let's just add the right attribute here that comes with React strap. If I go back, all right, we got everything nice and working. I think it's time for us, because our sign out functionality works, it's time for us to build our profile. That's going to be a fun one. I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.